Today, we'll explore how to streamline test automation, tackle flaky test, and optimize regression test cycles and build like a very resilient, scalable test suite that empowers teams to deliver quality at speed. Uh, Good evening, good morning, good night at different parts of the world. My name is Mayuresh Shilotri. I'm the Senior Director of Customer Engineering and Customer Support. Uh, my core mandate at BrowserStack is to make sure that you are able to use the product, appropriate full value out of it, and just make sure that you're able to get the whole thing out of everything that BrowserStack has to offer to you. We also have with us Parineeta Sinha. We call her Pari. She's the engineering manager at Reddit, and I would just invite her to introduce herself and lead us into the session.
Thanks, Mayuresh. I'm excited to be part of this fireside chat. To give a brief intro about myself, I'm an engineering manager in the quality engineering org here at Reddit. My team works on building tools and frameworks that integrate with developer workflows and help catch issues early on in the development cycle. Also, we are focused on weekly releases of our iOS and Android apps. And we also, invest a lot in automating those releases and making sure they are of the highest quality. I've been at Reddit for past 7.5 years, focused mostly on quality and release. And before that, I was working at Oracle as a senior and principal engineer focused on building the release engineering pipelines. So that's me. I'll hand it over back to you.
Thank you so much, Pari. Really excited to speak to you and understand more about what you do at Reddit and how you're creating all the magic. Full disclosure, I'm a big fan and a major user of Reddit as a platform. So it's not just Reddit using BrowserStack, but I think a lot of us at BrowserStack explore a lot of things at Reddit. Jumping in straight away into the fireside chat, if you can just help us understand, what does quality mean at Reddit?
Sure. Yeah, it's great to hear that you are, avid Reddit user. When I joined Reddit back, like 7 years back, nobody had heard about the name. So it's good to know that people are catching up and, they love the app. To speak about quality, it's very difficult to define quality because, in my opinion, it's a combination of different metrics. Also at Reddit, we don't have a single metric that would define how well our apps are doing. We usually have a bunch of metrics that we keep a close track on or monitor on a weekly or a daily basis. To give some idea on what we track here, we do track how many bugs are escaping to production. I think that's kind of basic metric that everyone's track. How many bugs are escaping to production, how many bugs or P0, P1 issues are getting caught and fixed before the release goes out. That's something that helps us, determine how our apps are doing. In addition to that, we track things like test coverage, how many P0 or P1 user flows are we testing and making sure are in good quality before we ship our apps. So that's one thing. On the release side, we also, kind of keep track of, as I said, hot fixes, which basically align with how many bugs are escaping to production. We try to keep the number of hot fixes low. It can be tricky to target a good number on hot fixes because if there is something burning in the production, we would like to fix it as soon as possible. So hot fix should be encouraged, but at the same time, we want to have some control over what kind of bugs we are hot fixing. And making sure we have enough, levers in place in our testing pipeline to catch them ahead of time or ahead of the release. So that's something we track as well. In addition to that, we have been using unit queues. So unit queue scores is something we use to track our customer or user sentiment. And I think that also gives us like stack ranking against our competitors. So that's a good indicator of where we stand and how users are feeling about our app. So it's mostly combination of these metrics that we track. I think on the platform side, we have different metrics around like cold startup time, latencies around backend services performance, um, and also crash free rate is an important metric for us to make sure we are not releasing experiences that can be disruptive to our users. So we have high targets of 99.9% when we talk about crash free rates. And we feel if we are meeting that target, we are doing a good job of shipping high quality apps.
Absolutely. So it sounds like a very mature setup, and I'm sure you have like a whole reporting infrastructure, the dashboards, everything in place to be able to deliver all of this to you and your team real time. Really helpful. If you can, maybe throw some light on, what have been your biggest challenges in scaling up the automation pipelines, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, I can talk about that. I think the challenges have been multiple. I don't think I can pinpoint on one challenge there because it was a big task for us. Previously, we were dependent on manual QA to validate our releases and make sure all the P0, P1 tickets or issues are addressed before we ship the releases. It took 5 days for us to go through that process end to end and get signed off on the release. So when we started building the team and building up automation, like in-house automation, like maybe 4 years back or in 2021, um, we had a big hill to conquer. Like we had like a big number of user flows that we wanted to automate because we felt these were like P0 user flows. And if these break, we would be hot fixing or putting a patch in prod to address the issue. Um, so that was one challenge. Then building good framework, that stand the test of time is another challenge that we faced. We wanted to pick native technologies when we build these frameworks because we wanted to keep it close to developer. Also, when we think about or talk about, propagating a culture of testing in a company, uh, we want developers to be equally involved and own the quality of their features. We don't want QA or QE teams to, sit in silos and test out features. We want that close integration of testing and development workflows. So we use native frameworks. We building robust framework was a challenge. We closely work with our, platform team to enable that and deliver a framework that is close to developers that developers can quickly onboard and start using and contributing to our testing pipeline. Once we start, had the framework and start building test coverage, another challenge we faced was test stability. Because we were adding so many tests, we were ramping it very fast because we wanted to move away from manual validations to automated validation, which is like a difference of 5 days in how quickly you can deliver your prod releases. So if I had to give you some numbers there, for manual verification, we were using like 5 days for end-to-end validation. As we moved on more and more to automated validation or testing, we were signing off on the release in a matter of few hours. So it was definitely less than a day, and we could get sign off and ship an app, to production pretty quickly. So test stability was another challenge. Also, we had like a big team of automation engineers writing these tests. Hiring was a challenge, hiring good talent, making sure they're performing to the level. They're adhering to the best practices and the guidelines that are given to them for writing these tests. So it was a big effort there where we, had to continuously review their PRs and make sure those are, of the highest quality. Um, if we talk about stability, that also led us to developing tools that would proactively catch flakiness so that we are not disrupting the developer workflows with bad tests or flaky tests. So we developed things like, stress testing the test before you are checking it in, a flaky test quarantine service which proactively identifies flaky tests and quarantines them so that the development pipeline is not impacted and developers don't feel the pain of it. So yeah, those were like some of the challenges we faced. I think we are still working on some of them because they keep coming back. I don't feel we have completely solved them, but we are definitely in a better spot from where we started, maybe, 5 years back or 4 years back.
Yeah. So, no, this is really helpful. So you spoke about uh, your ability to speed up from 5 days to matter of hours, or maybe I think a day that you spoke about. And I also spoke about the stability aspects, how you built some proprietary tools or some services in-house that are enabling uh, the velocity and the stability that you have at Reddit. Can you throw some light or help us understand with respect to uh, how do you measure the ROI for the quality assurance, the whole test engineering, and given the fact that the test engineering team, the quality assurance team, has to kind of contest with a lot of other engineering departments to attract the resources of all sorts and kinds. How do you kind of make that pitch? How do you measure the ROI? How do you communicate it to the larger organization?
Yeah, that's an always a tricky area to get data and respond or present to leadership for more resources. What we try to do there is we try to highlight what are the P0 or P1 workflows that these resources would be, helping on that would help elevate the quality of the app. So we focus on that. If we are able to clearly describe or justify that the areas that are impacted or the resources would be focusing on directly impact maybe a business metric like crash free rate or DAU, which is the daily active user. It's very easy to get approval if we can make that justification and present the right data. But to gather that data is always kind of tricky. Sometimes it could be straightforward, but I've seen if we are trying to justify that the resources would be improving the quality, that process or that justification is always tricky to put in. So talking about the ROI piece, we definitely track bugs filed. Every month we review how many bugs our resources are filing, and also focus a lot on the quality of bugs that the resources are filing. It's not only about filing bugs. We want to make sure they are capturing enough data in the bug that feature teams can quickly absorb that and come up with a fix and deliver a quality change in the app that would help elevate some pain points on the user side. So quality of bugs, also number of bugs they are filing, number of critical blocker issues that could have resulted into hot fixes, a few metrics that we track that directly impact the quality of the app. If I have to talk about the automated test side, we track how many flaky tests is a resource introducing, which um, we would like to minimize going forward. We want to invest in educating resources to write higher quality code, higher quality tests, so that that at least that category of failures is of the lowest volume when we talk about how many flaky tests are there in the pipeline. So things like that are something that we invest in and track on a weekly basis to make sure our resources are delivering and are adding value to our testing pipeline, not just tests, but high quality tests.
Was super helpful. Um, I think somewhere in the conversation, even offline, you spoke about a multi-year project that you undertook with respect to driving the code coverage higher at Reddit, and that has as part of the your whole scale up as we say. So what's been the journey like? I mean, have you kind of reached like the 100% code coverage, or where exactly are we, and what are your key learnings in that scale up?
Yeah, code coverage was our first big project that we wanted to invest in when we thought about, improving the quality of our apps. We wanted good unit tests in place um, to make sure we are testing the flow, at the level of development, and that's the least expensive area actually to talk about. Um, Unit tests are very easy to maintain. They can get flaky as well, but they are low maintenance, tests that developers write. So when we started the journey, the code coverage project actually happened in multiple ways. The first wave was we introduced a code coverage ratchet. We started at a 50% ratchet, which means any change going into the iOS and Android app would require 50% test coverage, on the pull request. If they are not writing that coverage, they would be blocked from, merging their PR. In hindsight, we do think that it was a little aggressive, and also our repos weren't modularized at that point. So it created a lot of friction within developers because there was some legacy code that developers were not very aware of, or it could write tests around. So that problem needs to be fixed before we can enforce the ratchet. And we discovered that along the way. We didn't know that before we were enforcing the ratchet. So we kind of took a step back. We loosened the ratchet. We focused on modularizing our repo, and we thought once the modularization is complete, we would work more, closely with our feature teams to decide what ratchet they want, so that they don't, feel like we are, enforcing something where they are not contributing. They feel part of the system, and they feel participative in bringing a change around quality in the apps. So yeah, as the repos were modularized, we know like what teams own what modules. We went and talked to each feature team in our company, and we discussed with them which modules you think are the critical ones, which one are P0, P1, and what is the level of test coverage you would want your teams to add. So we made it more collaborative in that sense. So, teams felt like, they were participating in it than, being forced to do something. So we discussed with the team, we, came up with those the ratchet numbers that we should enforce on each module. So from a project, like a blanket level project ratchet, we changed that to modular level or module level ratchet in the repo, um, which was more flexible, which gives developers more flexibility into what where they need to add tests. So they're adding tests only where it adds value and that they think would help improve the quality of the apps. Um, so yeah, so from the project level ratchet, we went to module level ratchet. And over a period of years, I think that was more accepted by our developers. And over a period of years, we saw like good improvements be made. There were other challenges in the process, like we were using, uh, a third-party code coverage tool to, integrate with our pipelines, which had some issues. So we were working through that. In the end, it didn't work out for us. So we ended up building like in-house tool to calculate code coverage and report on the pull request. Yeah, we created more visibility around how the code coverage checks are performing and the GitHub PRs. Like, is it disrupting developer experience with these, or it's improving developer productivity? So things like that we had to focus on and keep an eye on, so as to we can make necessary changes if things don't look good. Because in the end, we wanted developers to have a good experience with these ratchets. So we wanted to close these or track these issues closely and close them as quickly as possible. So So those were some of the challenges. But as I said, we introduced the ratchet in 2021, where code coverage numbers were really low and single digits. And over a period of years, we saw a gradual increase. In 2 years, we were at around 50%, and now we are around 70, 75%. So that brought a lot of change, with respect to what kind of unit testing we were doing. I know numbers don't really reflect a lot of, uh, like value, or is not directly linked to how the quality of apps is, but definitely a higher code coverage is better than a lower code coverage. So that's something that we achieved over years using this ratchet.
Yeah. I think from a single digits to like mid 70s is a phenomenal journey. So I think I'm sure a lot of people will just reach out to you to just to understand how that unfolded over the years. It can be a separate session in itself. Um, I'll just quickly move on. I mean, one of the hardest things to do is to align the test and the product engineering departments. And you specifically chose, XUI and Espresso for functional test to be closer to your developer's language. What else have you done to bring about that alignment, and how has that resulted into, more velocity for you as an organization?
Yeah, I think it's always hard to engage developers to write tests. That's not their favorite thing to do. They would rather, spend their time in the IDE developing some cool features, but when it comes to testing, they're not really very excited about it. So it's a difficult problem to solve, but definitely not impossible. We have, worked over the years. We developed this program called Test Adoption, where we work with different teams at Reddit. We focus on like maybe 1 or 2 teams per quarter. We work with them. We develop workshop sessions. We give them presentations on what our tools are doing, how it can help you write good tests, how you can integrate these tests in your pre-merge or developer pipeline to catch issues early on, and how you can maybe own these tests and go ahead and maintain them going forward, so you feel ownership in testing as well. So it's been challenging, but focusing on teams, we are gradually seeing like changes coming through, over time. Um, Teams definitely are inclined towards testing now. They want to deliver high quality features, so they are receptive to owning the tests that belong to their modules. So they're coming forward. They want to learn the technology or the tooling we are building, and they are contributing or owning the tests. We do see some gaps sometimes, because it's always that race between velocity and quality, because we have a small team of developers that we work with, and they want to meet their deadlines, they want to deliver features, so there is always that trade-off, whether they should spend time on developing and shipping the features or writing tests. So sometimes it becomes an afterthought, like they would file a ticket to write the test and maybe prioritize it later when they're done with development. So that's something we always struggle with, to emphasize the importance of testing as we develop. But it's easy to become an afterthought, and that's always a battle for us to fight. We want them. Sometimes we offer resources from our team to help them write tests. So, but that fails the purpose of adoption. Like test adoption is having developers write their own tests, but in the end what we are doing is we are offering them help. So we are still fighting that battle. We are still working on that program where we engage with teams and kind of onboard them to write these tests. Sometimes we see good results, sometimes kind of we don't see the results to our expectation because of things like velocity, and deadlines around feature delivery. So yeah, that's been a struggle.
Yeah. Well, that's a very human response to a very human question. So thank you so much. I think one last question before we just jump on to the last section. Mobile app testing has evolved significantly with AI and AI-driven tools. Uh, you know, How do you see these advancements like reshaping the mobile testing at Reddit?
I think it would help us build more user adoption. I think it can ease out the process of writing tests so that developers feel it's not a chore they are doing at work. If they could easily write a test, we use GitHub Copilot, which helps us autocomplete code and even test. So that's already we are seeing improvements in developer productivity there. So I feel it will definitely help us in a way that developers won't feel it like a chore. They would get additional help to write tests easily using the AI tools. And as part of our test adoption program, we have been also trying to research and invest in things that could ease out the process of writing tests. So that's something that um, that we have in the roadmap to look into and see what tools are there in the market that could integrate with our development pipeline and maybe help um, generate test code or write good tests with ease so that developers don't have to spend hours or even days writing a good test. So I believe that it would boost developer productivity. It would help our org as a quality engineering org to get more participation from developers in writing tests. And overall, it would help boost the quality of the apps going forward because it would make the process of testing easier.
No, thank you so much. This is helpful. So for everyone out there, I'm sure you've seen some of the sessions over the last 2 days, and there are quite a few interesting AI-driven tools, AI-driven features that are in the pipeline from BrowserStack, and I'm sure you're already consuming, understanding all of that. So feel free to chime in to just help us help understand more about some of those features. Perfect. I think it's time to jump into the fun section. Maybe I think a couple of questions, 2 or 3 questions for you, Pari. This is a rapid fire section, so I think the answers need to be prompt. Um, One QA myth you wish people would stop believing in.
Um, I think it would be around that QA. All QA does is, finding bugs and complaining. I know developers find it sometimes annoying that, why QA is finding so many bugs. I think we are also trying to help them up level the quality of the app. I feel if that perspective is more prevalent, developers, it would be helpful in building like a more collaborative environment. We care about their features as much as they do. So we're just not filing bugs; we are helping them.
What's your favorite subreddit so that people can also be part of it?
I have a love for travel and hiking, so I follow a bunch of subreddit around that. I think I'm a more of an outdoorsy person. I like camping subreddits as well. So r/travel, r/hiking. I know it could be cliche, but that's where I go to generally to find new hikes or places to travel or look for a good itinerary. Yeah.
Awesome. If QA disappeared for a week at Reddit, what would break first?
Um, it depends on what we are shipping. So we do have like, weeks where we are shipping a lot of features, a lot of library updates, which is brutal because it's very hard to get a well-rounded testing around those features because there are a lot of unknowns that could, get into the app, and it's hard to test and catch that early on. But then there are slow periods. But one metric I'm really concerned about is DAU. I I would think that may break if QA is out for a week.
Okay. I think the last one, if QA had a theme song, what would it be?
Um, I don't know. Maybe what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining in this session. Thank you so much, Pari, for your time, for being so generous with all your witty responses. Thank you all for joining in this session. We hope you found the, just the experiences and strategies shared by Parineeta really helpful.